Welcome to the 5th episode of Neo Reality Rights. This is going to be about Emerald. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her name, maybe at the end. From Ruby. And I said this in 2 episodes, in the Wyatt Family episode and the S.H.I.E.L.D. episode of Neo Reality Rights. I said that, well, the Ruby universe is going to be a part of the story, of the grand scheme of everything. So the plan right now is that Ruby was volumes 1 and 2, and then everything starts to change around at the beginning of volume 3. A lot of things take place the same, but I made major alterations some alterations, and they don't start affecting the plot till a little bit later. But the plan for Emerald is that she basically, when Bray Wyatt reveals his betrayal and catches Mercury and Emerald, they escape, and begrudgingly they have to help Remnant escape since they try to get off world. And yes, I know that they don't have their dust can't really work in space. When I found that out, I had to come up with a reason, so I went with synthetic dust that Alice is creating. Yeah, I went with the synthetic hypercrystal excuse, so sue me, this is part of the story. So yeah, anyways, Emerald and Mercury eventually hold Bray Wyatt off, and this leads to a similar duel, but with obvious differences, with Darth Sidious versus Savage Opress and Darth Maul in an episode of Lawless, I think, of Star Wars The Clone Wars. It ends with Mercury being killed off, and Emerald gets captured by Bray Wyatt because he says this, and I quote this verbatim from Palpatine: "Don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. I have other uses for your abilities." Yeah, while shocking her with lightning, because like I said, Bray Wyatt has the ability of the Force. So Emerald is taken prisoner and basically is being forced to create more illusions for the Empire in order to psychological warfare against the enemy. And with Lord Eric's limitless knowledge on everything, yeah, it makes it much more difficult. Eventually, is currently planned to make her escape. And I wanted to also say this: in the regarding Bray Wyatt, he keeps calling her thief to reflect the whole she's a thief and she steals. And yeah. Also, I wanted to imply Emerald and Mercury have something. They seem to be that love-hate relationship. I can't help but like that from time to time. And I keep thinking they're going to defect before this storyline's over in Ruby, because they seem to be doubting this plan, and they seem to be horrified by the disturbing imagery of Salem and what Cinder tends to do. So it looks like there's something going on regarding Mercury and Emerald's allegiance towards Salem. Maybe they're just loyal to Cinder and they're plotting a coup d'etat with her. That could be interesting. Or she could defect along with Mercury. So, also, as I was saying, Emerald will eventually escape from the Empire's clutches. And there is one character I didn't mention. He'll be talked about in the next episode. So, Emerald goes ahead and escapes, but where does she go? Well, I want to do an arc focusing on where she goes, and due to her abilities and the ability to basically steal so easily and stealthily, I decide to make her join up with a certain collective group of criminals led by a former Sith Lord. Yep, Darth Maul. I'm putting Darth Maul here because Star Wars is obviously going to have him. Yeah, Darth Maul's Shadow Collective from the Clone Wars series. Yeah, she joins up with them, and that currently ends her story arc in Book 2 for now, but in Book 3, her story continues during the Siege of New Mandalore, because I forget to mention this, there are 2 Mandalores One is the one that is not a barren wasteland that has to use domes to survive. And the other one is a Mandalore that thrives and has an actual habitable planet. And not horribly looking like it was evaporated by war. And during the Siege of New Mandalore, I'm considering having Ruby Rose get involved to try and sway her back in to join up with the UR, the United Republic, because this is the final battle for the United Republic before it folds into the Galactic Alliance. So, yeah, they wanted to put an end to Darth Maul's growing influence, and the Empire also has an agenda there, and they want to get in on the fun. And it's going to be chaotic when I get a chance to write that, but it's currently planned that Emerald does join up with Team Ruby, and she kills Savage Opress. Yeah, I'm having her kill off Savage Opress. I'm just killing people left and right, aren't I? I'm like Game of Thrones. Especially major characters. Like, granted, Savage Opress does technically die in the Clone Wars series, but I have a list. I have a list. And it's over 30 so far, and there are tons more proposed. So, yeah, anyways. Now, after that, I don't know what I plan to do with Emerald afterwards. I might kill her off, I might not. And then after the Great Universal War is over, I don't know what's going to happen to her and the rest. Especially since, well, Mercury might get revived. And something might happen between them later down the road. But ultimately, I don't know what's going to happen for Emerald's character. Like, will she stay with the United Republic? Will she go off on her own because she needs to find something? She needs to find herself? Will she show up at the end of an era battle during the Battle of the Ark? Like, all this is just subjectively thought up right now. But ultimately, Emerald is kind of like one of my favorite villains in RWBY, because it looks like she might turn soon. And also, yeah, she's kind of funny from time to time. And that might be because I might be a negative Nancy. A lot. Yeah. Yeah. So, Emerald has a big role to play in this. It's going to be awesome for me to write her down. Like, when Mercury gets killed off, I have her actually say, who am I supposed to argue with now? And when Mercury just utters that, I didn't know you cared, she smiles sadly and says, of course I care, you jerk. Like, I didn't want to say that I love you thing because it doesn't seem to fit them. But it seems like at the end they would seem to be more like the arguing type. And plus, I still don't know if I want to get them together, as Nora would put it. So, Emerald is going to be very useful for the Empire. It especially helps them out with major victories against her will. Like, yeah, Eric... I don't know if I want to make Lord Eric aware of her capture and how she's being used, but yeah, he controls Bray Wyatt, so he might see a valuable resource but also a person, so this causes like a moral dilemma for him. Like, he doesn't believe in slavery, but he is trying to win this war for the greater good in his eyes, so he's trapped in this moral dilemma. But right now, like, Emerald's ability of illusions, yeah, I wanted to expand upon that, and I know that her abilities is very flawed because she gets a headache if she used it on more than one person. But with Eric's powers, he could probably enhance her abilities. And Emerald's backstory is pretty much the same. I'm not changing it up unless it's absolutely necessary. Like, everything that happened in volumes 1 and 2 and her backstory. But Emerald overall, yeah, she's pretty much the same character. It's just her allegiance might turn. And yeah. And I'm also thinking that, like I said, I'm debating if I should kill her off later on in sometime in book 3, or should I keep her around and then have her come back to join up with them at the end of the final battle of the Great Universal War. So it's going to be hotly debated for a bit, but I'll provide an update in the future should any plans change. Well, that was my thoughts on Emerald. What's her last name? I'm trying to pronounce it. Sustrai. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate, and stay tuned for more.